Barakatah YAHAWAH, BaHa YAHAWASHI, BaHa RAWCHAA QADASH. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Who Are the E's, the Cursed People, the Snare. And pretty much the word snare is trap, a trap. And they got a serious trap that they're setting around the world, you know, to catch pretty much those that fear the Lord, you know, the Israelites. You know, all other nations are, you know, a little extra, you know, extra cheese, you know, the trimmings on the side of the main dish, the steak and taters. And the main prize that they want to catch are the Israelites, you know, because they know that their birthright relies totally on the annihilation and removal of the nation of Israel. That's why you got rats, all kinds of rats, like Vocab alone, pushing that replacement theology, supersessionism bullshit on the world to remove the Israelites and bring on, or try to insert, as they always do, the so-called believers, you know, the church of believers, which pretty much is talking about all nations, and getting rid of the nation of Israel. That's the only way that they're able to insert themselves into something, or into this contract, because there is no stipulation, there are no sub-laws, there are no hidden clauses in the contract that accepts all of the nations, especially not the Edomites. And even your own scholars know that you Edomites have no chance or no clue or no form of mercy coming from Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi. I wanted to do a lesson on that, on the name of the Most High and Yahawashi. Lord's will, I still will. You know, it's just, you know, this series is just hot and heavy right now, you know, on my spirit to do. So Lord's will, once I get through this, or, you know, even before, if the spirit, you know, or however the spirit of Yahawah Bashim Yahawashi wants to do it, I want to get into the names of the Most High, Yahawashi, and pretty much those names we believe through the spirit and through faith that those are the names of the Heavenly Father and His Son. Even when you look at certain pronunciations of those names, even though they don't have the proper sounding of it, for lack of better words, the syllables, I think they're called, are there. You know, I forget what it's called. You know, like the Most High's name is YAHAWAH. All right, that's three. I believe they call it 3 syllables. I forget. There's, you know, I wasn't really that good in English, you know, so it wasn't until later on that I started to really fully understand about pronouns and nouns and adverbs and verbs and all of that, you know. I was never really that good in English, so please forgive me. I believe they're syllables, you know. So you have, you know, that was one of the points that I wanted to make. You do have the right syllables, but it's just the wrong pronunciation. You know, like you have Jehovah, you know, which the so-called Jehovah's Witness follow, you know, and the Most High's name is YAHAWAH, which is close, but no cigar. The Gadites, which were speaking a broken Hebrew, they called on the name of the Most High YAHWAH, which is the same syllables, but just a slightly different pronunciation. You know, and this is something because they are part of the tribes that came over here, you know, after the Assyrian captivity. You know, so that is the name of the Most High. You know, we believe that wholeheartedly. We call on those names for anything that we need, any situation we find ourselves in, when we're giving praise and when we're looking for mercy, and everything else in between. So with that being said, these devils are setting a trap, a snare on the world, and you brothers already know what the main trap is. There's many traps, but the main trap is the MO to the TB, which is the C hip. And you see in things, you know, on a world scale leading in that direction. Everything digital. You comply, you live. You don't comply, you die, pretty much. And that's pretty much their whole attitude. You play by the rules, you know you're on. You don't play by the rules, they turn you off. So I looked up the word snare, and the word snare means a trap for catching birds or animals, typically one having a noose of wire or cord. Let me get this one precept that just popped up in my head. So let's go back. It says a length of wire, gut, or hide stretched across a drum head to produce a rattling sound. That's a snare. That's, you know, I forget the exact sound the snare makes. I'm not a musician. It says catch a bird or mammal in a snare. All right, so pretty much it's a trap, and they give you, you know, synonyms: trap, gin is another one, noose, springe, I guess that's how you pronounce it, and snare. This is another word that I looked up, and also you have the word entrap. So now when we go to the word ensnare, is catch in or as in a trap, and this is what Esau is doing. Remember, we're dealing with the serpent. All right. So when we go to Genesis 25 and 27, and the boys grew, and Esau was what? A cunning hunter. They're very slick, sly in the way they do things. You know, very cunning, you know, in everything, because they can trap you physically, and they can trap you spiritually, mentally. But only if the Lord YAHAWASHI allows them to. So the word Yadai, which just pretty much means to know. You know, they are wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from them. They know everything. This is why they take people's DNA. You got these dumb people out here talking about, yeah, I can prove that I'm a Hebrew Israelite because of my DNA. The EB1, whatever, EB1A, you know, whatever the acronym is for it, right? That proves that I'm an Israelite. But the Edomites have the number, the B on it, or the 2, or however the hell they say it, right? So I'm sitting there and say, okay, so this proves by that, you know, that so-called blood test or DNA test, that your line goes to one of those tribes over there in so-called Africa. So my next question is, what DNA did they use to prove that that particular tribe goes all the way back to Moses, King David, King Solomon, you know, Rehoboam, Jeroboam, you know, Absalom, King Saul, Jonathan, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Micah, Obadiah, Zephaniah, so on and so forth. Do they have the DNA of them? And then, okay, oh, well, you know, they happen to be the EB1A, you know, so Jeremiah, see, Jeremiah, we got Jeremiah here, we got Isaiah, we got King David, we got King Solomon, you know, we got Joseph, the father of YAHAWASHI, we got Mary's DNA, and they all match the EB1A or whatever that, you know. Do they have that? No. And pretty much what they've done with that whole DNA thing is get your blood, your DNA, whether it be your blood or mouth swab or whatever, and now they can take that, play with it, analyze it, scrutinize it, and be able to break down what are the best chemicals to destroy this particular DNA. So all you did was help this devil with more ensnaring. So now they can, through the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, they can approve a particular chemical that, or a particular group of chemicals as food additives that they can put together, and that particular concoction destroys this particular people or that particular people. You see? Because even though we all have the same blood, you know, our makeups are different from other nations, and they know this. So that whole DNA shit, that's all bullshit. Okay, it's all bullshit. Anyways, so we're dealing with Esau being a cunning hunter, right? Let's look up the word cunning. The word cunning. Having or showing skill in achieving one's ends by deceit or evasion. See? And that's what they do, by deceit or evasion. That's why you have something called plausible deniability, which is, even though they ask you a question and people find out about you and they know that you're doing wrong, like Michael Jackson said, you still deny it. You know? That's that plausible deniability. You know, and pretty much these devils have that skill in achieving, you know, achieving that by deceit or evasion. Because every time you get close, they put a spin on something. They add a different group. They put this over there. So they keep splintering, you know, like that snake. All right. So moving on, when we go to Genesis 3:1, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahawah the power had made. And now we know, you know, those of us through the spirit and power of Yahawah B'Shem Al-Shai, that the Lord woke up, know that this serpent is not talking about the actual serpent. You know, even though the Most High could make a serpent speak, could make a serpent say all the things that he said. He did that to the donkey. But we know that that's not the case here. This was an actual man, you know, living, which was a serpent seed, you know, which later came through the lineage of Cain. And then after the flood, post-diluvian, which means after the flood, came through Esau, a man by the name of Esau. And they have those same characteristics. Even when you look up the word serpent in the dictionary, it gives you the reptile, blah, 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 blah. Then it says, what? A sly or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. So pretty much they should have Esau's picture there, because that's exactly what they do. So they're very cunning. So it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord power had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have the Most High said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden. And pretty much what they do is they don't come direct. Remember, you know, like what's his name? Shakespeare said, you know, the devil, you know, appears as a gentleman or something along those lines. And they're not going to appear and tell you straight up, I'm the devil, until after they got you in their trap and their snare, when they know you're no longer a threat, when they know it no longer matters if you know or not, then they come out and let you know by their actions. All right. So this is what they do. It's a term called gaslighting. Gaslighting pretty much is, you know, you have a belief. A person that doesn't believe in what you believe in, that wants to try to get you out of your belief, questions you about your belief in a way that makes you question if you believe it or not. And that's what gaslighting is. They're throwing, you know, stuff at you to make you question if you really believe in what you believe in. You know? And that's what the devil does. Now, when we move on, Psalms 10:1, it says, why standest thou afar off? Now that we understand that Esau was a cunning hunter, and we know this was physically, but now we could apply that spiritually, because they trap you both ways, physically and spiritually. And we know that the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. We look up this word subtle. That's what I wanted to do. Oh, Salaki, that was that was verse 2. The beast, the word there is Ahrayamlab, which means subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible, crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. That's applied to a serpent. It's applied to a fox. You know, moving stealthily. You know, it's applied to the leopard. A leopard is able to move in the daytime amongst all other types of animals undetected. You know, so there's shrewd, subtle, crafty, sly, and that's why they're able to put all these stuff together. Remember, they don't sleep unless they cause some type of mischief. You know, it goes back to the root word irum, subtlety, crafty, prudent, beware, very. So they're very crafty in the way that they do things. So when we come up to Psalms 10 and 1, it says, why standest thou afar off, O Yahawah B'Shem Yahushai? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? Yeah, because times of trouble are coming. And what these devils are doing is they're pretty much crushing the will of the people by depriving them of their necessary everyday things, such as food and water. Fuck a shelter, fuck, you know, being able to buy new clothes or a car or whatever the case may be. You know, the main thing that people really need is food and water. And this is what we see going on right now. There was just a video where this one Jake was speaking about how they plan on within 2 weeks, I believe it is, a whole bunch of different, I think he said like 6 major trucking companies out there in the West shutting down, you know? So what does that mean? That means if these major ones shut down, then the delivering of goods is not going to happen. So whatever they got, you know, whatever they got there, that's, you know, going to, you know, be the end of it. And this is going to sweep across, you know, and this is going to be a worldwide thing because they're using hunger or famine as a weapon to achieve their thing. See, these devils don't play fair. They don't give you the option to choose. They make it seem that way at first, but then eventually they, you know, make it mandatory in order for you to play the game, so to speak. So it says, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Remember, they have the godlike power on the earth to do these things, to end hunger, excuse me, to end hunger, to end famine, you know, to end misery, to end mourning. But they don't want to do that. They get off on that, you know. We look up the word devices. Mazamah. Purpose, discretion, device, plot. And all this they do where? In the dark, in the secret. That's why it says here in Psalm 64, hear my voice, O Most High, and my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. And I remember back in 1992, you know, in the world, you know, the individual's name was Gabaria, you know. You hear us speak about him from time to time. And he was teaching myself and other brothers out there, you know, in the world, you know, pursuing careers, you know, so on and so forth. And he told us about the truth, you know. He told us about different, you know, different things. And one thing he had in his possession was a cassette tape. That was a John Todd confession. And he happened to give it to me. And I took that tape, you know, in the midst of, you know, because back then I used to be heavy into working out, you know, writing, you know, practicing, you know, just different stuff for my craft at the time. And one day I put the tape in, I'm listening to the tape, and my jaw is like, the longer he speaks, the further down my jaw drops. And all I kept thinking about is, man, shit is going to be really bad out here. Where can I go to? What can I do to be protected from this? And then the thought came into my mind, which I understand now was a spirit, go to the school. you know. So I got in touch with him, you know, and eventually I went to the school at 1 West. It was on a Friday night. It was High Priest Yeshaya, which was his title back then, his class. I got on the Metro North, got off on 125th Street, walked up one whole block, and then when you cross into the next block, the school was right there. Not at the corner, but maybe like a door or two down from the corner, you know, of that street. And I went upstairs, walked in the classroom. You know, I remember sitting down, maybe like in the third row, second, third row, somewhere around there. I actually sat next, and I sat where I sat next to the left of me was the big 12 tribe sign. It was like a yellowish, you know, like a bright yellow color with black letters. And I was reading the tribes, and when I read Ephraim, so-called Puerto Ricans, like in my spirit, I let out a sigh, like, whew, I'm finally where I belong, you know. And, you know, this is what these devils are doing. This is why the King David, who was a king and a prophet, man of the Lord, he said, preserve my life from fear of the enemy, because he was able to see into the future the things that are happening right now. You know, your Agenda 2020s, your Agenda 2030s, you know, your Subversion Act, 1950 Subversion Act, you know, the concentration camps, all of this stuff. He saw all of this stuff happening. You know, he saw Esau in great power with his, you know, military, you know, the hour of martial law, all of that. That's why he said, who will lead me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? He wasn't speaking about back then, because him, Joab, and Israel were kicking Esau's ass back then. Amaziah was throwing, you know, Esau off of mountains just for the hell of it. So we know it's not talking about back then. It's talking about these times now. You know, that's a good precept. I'm going to read this. Psalms 17:13. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Right. And Esau is the Most High sword, and he's going to use them. That's why he said to Israel in Isaiah that I will number you to the sword, because you pretty much set up a table for that troop. You Israelites out there, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, you keep this man's system afloat. You're the one you're the backbone of this society, Babylon the Great. Because even in that movie, The Spook Who Sat Behind the Door, the guy's name was Carstairs. He was speaking to somebody, and the dude said, look, how about, you know, shutting everything down, or, you know, or I forget exactly how he put it. He said, no, he said, we tried that, and nothing in Chicago ran, because pretty much Jake is the backbone, the grease of this society. When you look at all the major hubs that run Esau's, you know, system, it's all Jake running it. You know, from the police to transit, you know, transportation, you know, and different, you know, offices that are key to keeping this system going. Jake is running all of that, you know. So it says, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. So they have a secret counsel of the wicked. So what is a secret counsel? It's a conspiracy. So hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, because they have a plan to do the things that they're going to do. From the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, right? Because the insurrection is arising from within. And the main people that they're targeting are the Israelites. That's why I said there shall be an insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. It says, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword. Meaning, the word whet, W-H-E-T, means to sharpen. And they sharpen their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. And that's pretty much how they're speaking. They're speaking through their legislation. That's why in Revelation 13, it speaks about, you know, and spake as a dragon, you know. He had two horns like a lamb, because they appear harmless. They appear to be for the benefit and help of the people, especially our people. And it said, but really, it says, and they spake as a dragon. The word dragon goes back to the word drakon, which goes back to Draco, which was an Athenian lawgiver who would exercise the harshest penalties, even for the minutest crimes, for the smallest crimes. And that's what it's coming back to. You know, it says that they may shoot in secret, see, at the perfect. Who are the perfect? The Israelites. And how are they going to shoot in secret at the perfect? By all of these traps that they're setting. So before we read on, let's go back. Let's go back to here. So it says, the wicked in his, this is Psalm 10:2, the wicked in his pride doth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined, right? Because it says that the wicked shall fall upon their, you know, in so many words, the wicked are going to fall on their own sword. All the traps that they're setting, they're going to fall into those traps. The Lord said, when they are about to eat, the Lord shall cast the fury of his wrath upon them. It says, for the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire. Right. And what is their heart's desire? Their heart's desire is to get the world. Who was it? Rockefeller. I believe that was, what was that devil that just dropped dead? The old ODB. The old dirty bastard. Was it David Rockefeller? Yeah, I believe it was David Rockefeller, right? David Rockefeller. Thanks. The media. I can't think of the exact quote. Okay, boom, beautiful. I think this might be it. Beautiful. Here we go. This is what the devil said. David Rockefeller quotes, "We are grateful to the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Time Magazine, and other great publications whose directors have attended our meetings, these secret councils, and respected their promises of discretion for almost 40 years. It would have been impossible for us to develop our plan for the world if we had been subjected to the lights of publicity during those years." And why don't they need it now in these times? Because they've already accomplished their mission. This is why there's so much stuff out in the open. That's why you speak about certain things now and they don't mess with you. They don't clip you. Why? Because it's already out in the open. The final stages of the NWO pretty much is to let the world know, bring it out in the public eye, because all of their foundational things that they were trying to accomplish are already in place. You see? So there's really not much that anybody could do. So that's why our hope is in Yahawah B'Shem Yahawashi. It says, but the world is more sophisticated and prepared to march towards a world government. And this is what they plan on doing. These are the snares. Because world government or one world government is a one world religion, one world economy. And that economy, those of us that the Spirit of the Lord Yahawah B'Shem Yahawashi has our eyes open, we're seeing that the world is moving in the direction of a digital-based currency, which goes into Revelation, the 13th chapter, you know, where it speaks about the MOTB. And we know that the MOTB is a C-hip. You know, you had a top prominent Rockefeller, Nick Rockefeller, tell Aaron Russo that they plan on C-hipping everybody. You know, it says the supranational sovereignty of an intellectual elite and world bankers is surely preferable to the national auto-determination practiced in past centuries. And there was another one. If we are guilty of this, he says, if we are guilty of this. Yep. For more than a century, ideological extremists at either end of the political spectrum have seized upon well-publicized incidents such as my encounter with Castro to attack the Rockefeller family for the inordinate influence they claim we wield over American political and economic institutions, which they do. Well, that's why Maya Angelou said, give me control of a nation's money and I care not who makes the laws. Because pretty much he who controls the money controls the people. So you have money as a power over the people, and you have food as power over the people. You know, scriptures say that money is a defense, and money answereth all things. Some even believe we are part of a secret cabal working against the best interests of the United States, because the United States is what? The catapult, the capital of the New World Order, characterizing my family and me as internationalists. That's what we call them, international bankers, because their economic, basis covers the whole entire planet. And of conspiring, there goes your word conspiracy. You listening, vocab? With others around the world. This is your kind. This is your Amalek demonic kind, vocab. Speaking about conspiracies, characterizing my family and me as internationalists, and of conspiring with others around the world to build a more integrated, which means what? All in one, global political and economic structure, which we're seeing happening right now. That's why you have your social credit score systems being put into place. And based off of your credit scores, which they use that as a testing ground. You can't get a car because your credit score is not that big. Oh, you can't get a loan for a home because your credit score is not that good. We are not economically viable. Inside joke. Right? Integrated global political and economic structure. One world, if you will. If that's the charge, listening, vocab, I stand guilty and am proud of it. Of what? Internationalists and conspiring. So there's a global conspiracy by international banker families run by the Amalekite families of the world, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, Warburgs, Gettys, Vanderbilts, Oppenheimers, Van Duen, Merovingians, so on and so forth, to control the world. He said, if that's the charge, I stand guilty and am proud of it. David Rockefeller Memoirs. See? Yep, this is it. Yep, this is beautiful. Money is the god of our time, and Rothschild is his prophet. Heinrich Heine. Yep, that's right. All right, so going back, Psalms 10:3, for the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High. The Most High is not in all his thoughts. They don't care about the Most High. That's why they're hell-bent on rearranging, changing, crispering the creation of the Most High, the human body. IOB, Internet of Bodies. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. Right. Because his ways are always grievous. Because it's an oppression when you charge usury upon people. When you charge interest upon people. Especially poor people that have nothing. And then on top of that, you're making it nearly impossible for them to survive. And the jobs that they have, are not given raises conducive, for lack of better words, to being able to give raises enough to so that the people can adjust economically. Hold on for 1 second. Okay. So it says his ways are always grievous, and this is why the scriptures call her, how has the golden city ceased? Golden city goes back to, the exactress of gold. Those that exact gold. Demand gold. demand payments. And this is why they're not worried about being America being in such heavy debt, because that's exactly their plans. Because once they call in the debts, there's nobody equipped to be able to pay that debt except for them. You know? And what happens when you can't pay your debt? Read the scriptures. You know, it tells you that sons, fathers, land, people are put in slavery. Their goods and properties confiscated. For what? To pay off that debt. So it's called what? Debt slavery. So it says, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He has said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. They don't ever think they're going down. They're not in trouble as other men, and neither do they think that they're going to be in trouble. That's why it says, in a moment, these two things shall come upon you, the loss of children and widowhood. And they shall come upon you in their perfection, because the missiles are going to be the ones that bring the final solution to this, blatant, abuse of power that you have. But it was given to you to do that. And you are created to be the perfect devil, as Elder Apostle Gabar put it. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. And this is what they're using. They're using this deceit and fraud to set up this new world order. And even with reading this out of their own mouth, you're still going to have this dickhead vocab say, well, they're talking about conspiracies and conspiracy theories. And you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians that are caught under the wonderment, if that's even a word, of the beast, you're going to be like, yeah, man, these guys are conspiracy theorists. They got to be out of their mind. What? A new world order, world government? Come on, man, that ain't happening. And it's happening right before your eyes, but you just too blind to see it. It says, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. Let's look up this word, lurking. I never looked that word up. And when you lurk, it's like, I believe that's when you're, like in an ambush, you're waiting and watching, lurking, scoping things out, casing the joint, so to speak. The word is ma'arab. Ambush, see? Ooh, hunters blind. Ooh, let's look up this term, hunters blind. Because when a hunter sets up, what do? See? They set up in camouflage, things, whether in a tree or out in the open like this, to where the animals that they're hunting are not even aware that they're there. You see? And this is what Esau is doing in plain sight. Come on, people. In plain sight. Let's see. Plain sight. In a place that is clearly visible. See? So you see hunters blind. A hunting blind U.S. hide or machan is a concealment device or shelter for hunters or gamekeepers designed to reduce the chance of detection by animals. See? There are different types of blinds for different situations, such as deer blinds and duck blinds. Some are exceedingly simple, while others are complex. Right? It all depends on the severity of the situation, And you have some people that are just, they'll fall into any trap, but you have some that are awoke to certain things, but they can fall by other traps. So the more awoke, so to speak, the person is, the more complex the trap becomes. The brother said the noun is from British slang lurk, method of fraud. That's right. And fraud is a synonym of Esau. Go back to James the 5th chapter. Now, going back. So ambush, lurking place, liars in wait. Right, that's the ambush. That's the first word I thought about when I thought about the word lurking when I saw it here. So he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in an ambush. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. How is he murdering the innocent? By setting up these traps that he knows is going to cause them to be put to death by the Most High. Because if anybody takes that MO to the TB, what's going to happen? They're going to be hit with the fierceness of the wine of the wrath of the Most High. You know, that's poured out without mixture. Because in the Lord's right hand, there's a cup, and the wine is red. So it says, his eyes are privily or privately set against the poor, and they're unsuspecting of it. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. Because when the lion hasn't eaten, right, the scriptures say, will the lion roar when he had not gotten anything to eat or something along those lines? Well, the answer to that is no. Because he has to be stealth in order to get close enough to the prey to pounce on the prey. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. See, to catch what? In snares, in traps. He doth catch the poor when he draweth him what? Into his net. And what is that net? The New World Order. Or as we call it, the New World Disorder. You know, he catches them in these different, you know, traps. And the ultimate trap is what? The hour of temptation, which is the MO to the TB, the C-hip. So his net is the word Rashath. Net for catching of judgment of leaders leading people to sin, as a trap for man. Network, brazen, for altar of tabernacle, catching animals. So pretty much it's a trap. And they're making it nearly impossible for anybody not to function without falling into this trap. But the elect are going to breeze right through that through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. He coucheth and humbleth himself, right? As if he ain't going to do nothing. Well, that's a harmless soul, man. That's why it says, is this the man that made the world to tremble? This piece of shit right here? This who we was afraid of? You mean to tell me he ain't Jesus? Oh, Lord, please help me. Sweet Jesus, let me kill this devil. Inside joke. It says that the poor may fall by his strong ones. And who are his strong ones? The ones that are in charge of his security. The gatekeepers. You know, the National Guard, not Federal Reserve, the National Guard, the Reserve, the FEMA troops, the UN troops, and everything else in between. They're mercenary groups. You know? Don't be surprised if they send bounty hunters out there to get, you know, people, certain particular people. He hath said in his heart, the Most High hath forgotten. Yeah, because there ain't nothing happened since the flood. You know, like something real heavy judgment. You know, to where the world acknowledges the power of the Most High Yahawah. You know. So they're thinking, oh, the Most High forgot. He forgot about his people, man. The hell with that. Now it's our chance to get them. Now is our chance to exact revenge upon them. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Right. They think some devils even go as far as saying, God is dead. That's the pride of these devils. Arise, O Lord, O power. Lift up thine hand. Forget not the humble. So I'm going to hold off right here. And we're going to keep on moving on. And if the Spirit allows, we'll come back to that. So we were right here, Psalm 64. So going back to Psalm 64 and 4, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Yeah, because there's no fear of the Most High in them. That's why it says, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. So it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. And what is this evil matter? This New World Order, which what? Entails the destruction and deaths of billions of people. Notice we're entering a new phase. 2020 has already passed. They had that agenda. You know, from 2020 till now, it's been a whole hell of a lot of shit going on. They destroyed the one structure They're the American Stonehenge, you know, so to speak, that cemented through the 10 demonic commandments of Esau from his satanic verses. You know, they destroyed that because they've moved on to the next level of that. Because the first commandment of that was maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. You know, that's why they use words like sustainability, you know, and things of that nature. Because their plan is to reduce the population of the earth. So if they are to just have 500 million people on the earth, that means that 7.5 billion people as of this date almost are to be annihilated, destroyed. And we know that this devil killed Billy Gates, the devil. You know, he already said how they're going to do that. If we do a very good job with Jabasina, you know, we can reduce that by so on and so forth. And matter of fact, on the way, either to camp or back from camp, Apostle Tar, you know, made an observation, which I'm pretty sure he made before, but he just mentioned it again. I'm pretty sure I heard him say it before. And he said, if you notice when we're driving down the highway, the trees are arcing into the highway. He said because they're arcing towards the CO2, because they take in the CO2 and that helps them, and then they release oxygen. So they take CO2 and convert it into oxygen for us to breathe. So the Most High made a perfect creature in man as far as the body and how it functions. He made everything is perfect. Everything works in a synergistical way. You know, one thing complements another. Worms, right? They're defenseless. But what do worms do? Worms shit. And when worms shit, their shit refertilizes the earth. But what do these devils do? They get them out of the ground, their habitat, so people can put them on their fishing poles and go fishing. You know? So these devils have destroyed the whole earth. That's why I say you're going to destroy them that destroy the earth. So everything works in perfect harmony. You know? So it says they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. See? Laying snares or traps in secret. Snares. The word snares is mawakwash. Mawakwash. Bait, lure, snare, right. And what are they using as a bait? They're using that carrot. Finance. Hunger. Follow the carrot. Follow the bouncing ball. And what are people going to do if they don't know about the MOTB being the C-hip? They're going to take it. And that's why these other groups, like the IUIC and the IHUPK, to name a couple, are guilty because they're telling the people that, no, the C-hip is not the MOTB. It's Christianity. It's an embargo. But never do they fix it in their mouth to tell the people, even though we don't believe that it's the C-hip, don't take it. They're not warning the people not to take it. That's what the Lord said, that your prophets are like foxes in the desert. You know, they haven't prepared you Israelites for the hour of temptation. They haven't prepared you for things to come. Now all of a sudden Bishop Nathaniel's talking about, the time of Jacob's trouble. Before he wasn't talking about that. But now that it's evident, like he always does, he just slide right in there. You know, he finds a way to just slide in there. But you could fool the people. You can't fool YAHAWASHI. And I'll leave it at that because they get mad when we talk about them. But fuck it. We are reprovers. We are the prophets. Lord's will. We are the prophets of YAHAWASHI, which we believe we are because we're doing the things that prophets do. So, going back, it says, they encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privately. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. They're laying the snare. They're laying the traps. They say, who shall see them? Because they don't think the Most High is watching. They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. And you better believe that when they put something out there, they very diligently search that thing. If you see something, say something. That's an inside joke. No, if you see anything going on, you best believe that it was already in the works years ago. You know, even in politics. I forgot who said that. Somebody who said that. If you see something in politics, I believe it was FDR. You know, it pretty much is not by coincidence. It's something that was already planned that way. And usually when you see something like a new invention or something else, it's already been 20, 30 years in the making. You know, this is just something that they're just now releasing. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. What is the heart? The mind. And why is it deep? Because they're not telling everybody else what they really are up to. But they have it in the back of their mind because they think that they're going to continue on forever, as the scriptures say. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. So before we go on, let's go to Job. I found the scripture earlier. I was like, oh, wow. Job 34:29. When he giveth quietness, you're hearing this, Esau, when the Lord gives quietness, and when will be the only time quietness will return to the earth? When YAHAWASHI returns to the earth and puts down the plague, the pestilence, the parasite known as Esau, known as a so-called white man. You know? And not all so-called white people are Edomites. You have some white-looking people that are Israelites and other nations too. All right? Who then can make trouble? So when the Most High gives quietness, who can make trouble? Because the Lord says that he causes wars to cease, meaning to stop. But he also mustereth the host of the battle. He stirs them up, he stops them. It says, and when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. See, and that's why YAHAWASHI is coming to visit that nation that is ruling. Whose the earth was given into their hand to rule over. He's coming to visit them, the Edomites, and even your own so-called scholars know that at the end of this world, when YAHAWASHI comes back, he's coming to visit and to take down the Edomites. Even Guzik, what the hell is his first name? David Guzik. Even he said, yeah, that's talking about the Lord, but I don't believe that. Something along those lines, he said. So pretty much he knows it's going to happen, but he willingly, you know, is under the notion that it's not going to happen. Which shows that he's in denial. And I'm not talking about a river in Egypt. It says, this is the point right here, that the hypocrite reign not, meaning Esau, lest the people be ensnared. See? So the word ensnared, mawakwash, bait, lure, snare. It goes back to the same word. Snare, lay snare, laid, fowlers. All right. And that's why earlier we looked at the word snare and we looked at the word ensnare. And the word ensnare is catch in or as in a trap. All right. So going back, see if there's any more. Surely it is meet to be said of the Most High, I have borne chastisement, I will not offend anymore. Con. So now let's move on to the next one, Psalms 125. You know, this is one of my favorite Psalms also. They that trust in the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El-Shai shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever, right? That's why we, to the best of our ability, we stand in the secret place of the Most High. Because the Most High has a secret place, Esau has a secret place. The Most High has his M-A-R-K, and so does Esau, which is the Sihip. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord Yahweh B'Shem El-Shai is round about his people from henceforth even forever, right? Because the scriptures say that the angel of the Lord stands around the righteous, or something along those lines. For the rod of the wicked, which is what? The correction of the wicked. Because the wicked are in rulership, and they're trying to push their agenda on the world. The word is Shabbatah, rod, staff, branch, offshoot, club, scepter, tribe. So their power, the rod, the correction, the power, let's go to Isaiah 14. This is why some of these basic fundamental building block scriptures are so important. Psalms 14:4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased? Why? Because the Most High took him down. Because he rules in the kingdom of men. The golden city ceased. This beacon of the world, and also the exactress of gold. The highest devils pushing their fraud upon the world, and taking interest from people and making them poorer and poorer while they become richer and richer, which they don't need the money. That's the thing. It's the greed. It says the Lord hath broken Shabar, the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the ruler. So their power structure is broken down. Why? Because the Most High sets up one and takes down another. And we're at the end of Esau's kingdom, and his demise is the taking down of him. But not all empires fall overnight. Remember, empire is a vast thing, so it takes time, but it's destructured bit by bit. And this is what we're seeing right now, the destruction of America, Babylon the Great, which is the capital of Esau's final empire, which is the revival of the ancient Roman Empire. And the Lord is systematically breaking it down. So going back, so it says, for the rod of the wicked, or the rulership, or the power, of the wicked, shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. Right. Let's go to the lot. Gawaral, lot. Pebbles used to systematically making decisions. Portion. Because you can have a lot as this, casting lots, but this lot is a portion. So the lot, or the rod of the wicked, the correction of the wicked, the power of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous. Why? Lest the righteous put forth his hands unto iniquity. Because if they do it, if they would be allowed to continue to rule, everybody would become wicked. You see? And that's why the Lord has his elect, which will not be deceived. Let's go to, I believe that's Proverbs 12 and 26. Yep. Hey, Barakateh HALAL. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them, or the rod. You see, because what are they doing? They're pushing an agenda that's constant, and they're patient like that serpent, coiled back, waiting till they pounce on the prey. And then each time a new generation comes, they start training them in the fashion of this world, and they know that the family structure is broken, so there's no father in the home, so there's no structure. So the children are being taught by their mothers, and their mothers were taught by their mothers, that were taught by their mothers, that were taught by their mothers, that didn't know a goddamn thing to begin with. And their whole education has been the public system, public food system, and television. That's why they're all messed up. And that's why you have, like, I came home one day, and I parked in front, and the people upstairs, their son was out in the on the porch with a few of his friends, and I noticed that half of them dudes was real effeminate. One motherfucker was twerking, and I'm like, look at this fucking degenerate, And I waited in the car. I was like, man, I refuse to walk through that shit. I'm gonna wait till these motherfuckers either leave, or I'll just drive away and come back later. You know, but this is the shit that they're pushing. You know, so that's why I said that the way of the wicked seduceth them. Now, if they would have had a father in the home, yeah, they still had, you know, your moles out there, but chances are that they would not be or act in that fashion. But that's another lesson for another time. So Psalms 125:3, for the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of for the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. So thank Yahawah B'Shem El Shai for his tender mercies and for his, you know, M to the A to the R to the K, the Thawadah, in Ezekiel 9:4, upon the righteous, upon the elect of the nation of Israel. Do good, O Lord Yahawah B'Shem El Shai, to those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. As for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, meaning you Israelites that turn unto these crooked ways. These are crooked ways, man. You can't make anything straight that the Most High made crooked. The Lord shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity. See, you're going to be destroyed. It says, but peace shall be upon Israel. So you nations are going to be destroyed, and even you Israelites that are part of the 2/3, and even you Israelites around the world that are not in America, that are not a part of the 2/3, that are part of those that are destined to be destroyed. The Lord's going to make a serious example on this earth. Psalms 37:12, the wicked plotteth. What is that? That's a conspiracy against the just. And what it is these devils, Vocab in them, they don't believe in the Bible. They use the Bible as a prop. They use the Bible as for the power that it holds. But then they go about establishing their own agenda. It says, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. Yeah, because you're going to be brought down miserably. Miserably. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. That's why it says there's going to be a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. These are the Israelites, and in particular, the ones that are awoke, that are teaching, you know, this truth the correct way. Because some Israelites out there are awoke, they're teaching that people are Israelites, but they got a warped, perverse doctrine, another gospel. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. So all of these things that you're doing are going to be broken. These traps that you're setting, they're going to be broken. Psalms 124, we'll read the whole chapter. I love this chapter. This is my favorite, one of my favoriteest chapters in the scriptures, Psalms 124:1. If it had not been the Lord Yahawah B'Shem El Shai who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side, when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up quick, because they have that power. Hence, who shall lead me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? When their wrath was kindled against us, right? Because they're coming. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. This is what? This is dealing with their troops. Just like during the time of 70 AD, the Roman legions came through, and what happened? They crushed Jake back then. And they're going to try to accomplish the same thing in these times. So it says, then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Blessed be the Lord Yahawah B'Shem El Shai, who had not given us as a prey to their teeth. Because remember, we're in the midst of this. I must leave you with this precept after I read this, because this is a very key, poignant scripture. It says, our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. In other words, you have a trap. Bird flies into trap to get bird seeds feed, right? Trap springs on bird. Bird is trapped in cage. Some miraculous wind or a branch from a tree may fall, knock trap over, break trap, bird goes free. You see? Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped. And we have the history of our forefather, the leader of this, of the true gospel, Peter, who was in prison. And the angel of the Lord broke him out, put such a deep sleep on the guards that were chained to him, and then brought him out. And I believe those same guards, those same two guards that were put to death by Herod. Because in his mind, there was no way that Peter could escape unless you guys let him go. Because they don't believe in, angels and miracles and things of that nature. Just like some other Israelites don't believe in miracles. So the snare is broken and we are escaping. What happened? He walked past the first gate. Then he walked past the second gate. And by the time he got out, he realized that it was an angel of the Lord, because he thought he was in, a vision. He thought he was in a trance until he actually got out of the prison, because the angel broke him out. So it could be a situation like that. It could be a situation like Raphael with Tobias, actually being like a brother. And you had no clue or idea that this is an angel walking there with you and delivering you. There was a story in the World Trade Center when it fell. I think it was a Jake woman. She was trapped. I'm not sure how many days. And it sounded like somebody was trapped there with her. And the voice kept, I'm not sure if she asked his name or whatever the case is, but the guy told her his name was Paul. And he was pretty much talking to her the whole time, assuring her she was going to be all right. And eventually when they delivered her out of there was no Paul. So that was an angel that was just keeping her alive long enough to be found, because it wasn't her time to go yet. So don't be surprised if you're paired up with somebody that is actually an angel, and then when the time goes, when everything goes down, that same individual delivers you through the spirit and power of YAHAWASHI out of wherever you may be taken. You see? And we're coming into those times. So to leave, it says, our help is what? In the name of the Lord, YAHAWASHI, which is a strong tower. The righteous running into it and is safe, who made heaven and earth. So I'm going to leave you with this last precept. Revelation 3:10, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. Yeah, and this hour of temptation is going to finalize in the moment where we're going to be presented to take it to better our situations. But the Lord said that because we kept the word of his patience, he's also going to keep us from that hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Why? Because it's a worldwide thing. It's a global thing. It's not just a city, town, village, country, continent. It's going to be a worldwide thing that's taking place. This is why the world is being, transferred from tangible physical currencies to digital currencies. And it's plain as can be on the world scale. They're just, I'm not sure if they already implanted it, but they think they had their first human trial of the brain C-hip, So they're moving it. They're moving it. So with that, I pray that you brothers and few sisters have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.